oil painting video. Today we are painting an expressive oil painting. The theme will be Woman with Pink Roses. We're going to go back to the style that I had like a week ago. I kind of enjoy this style a little bit more than what I did before, but let me explain the colors that I have on my palette. I have lead white number 2, titanium white, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow deep, Indian yellow, burnt sienna, cadmium red light, alizarin crimson, sap green, cadmium green, cerulean blue, phthalo blue, and ivory black. There will not be a reference for whatever picture because this is going to be more about the painting. And the palette, as you can see here, is kind of a large palette, so of course it wouldn't fit in the frame. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start painting here. The canvas is already prepared. A neutral gray acrylic paint underneath, and over top we have black with linseed oil and a little bit of a 50-50 mix of linseed oil and safflower oil. So I'm just gonna go ahead and guess where I'm gonna place the model's head, and I'm gonna draw with, I'll draw with whatever. Let's draw with cadmium green. Top of the head might fit somewhere over there, and there's gonna be model's hair down there. Knees are gonna be over here. As I continue to do these paintings, oh my goodness, I just realized I think I'm streaming without my chat box. Where is my chat box? Hold on a second. Yeah, I think I might be on the wrong web browser. I am on the wrong web browser. Hold on. Well, that's a nice way to start. Give me a second here. For those of you that don't know, if you stream with Safari, you will lose your chat box. So let me see if I can open this up on Chrome. Give me a second here. I need to be able to see the chat box. Let me... Okay. I think I got it. Give me a second here. Alright, I'm just typing testing. Settings are a little different on my stream today. I don't know what happened. I accidentally streamed with Safari instead of Chrome. That was my mistake. So I'm sorry if the viewer experience is a little different for you there. Alright, now I'm going to mix up a skin tone. That's about all the drawing I'm going to do with the lines for now. And say the face is going to fit somewhere over here. I toned the canvas because I realized that with that acrylic tone, I did do some acrylic underpaintings last time, but it's a little too rough on my brushes. So somebody please let me know if you're able to write a comment or see the comments, or if everything is running smoothly at all. Alright, model's hand is going to be here, so I'm going to just keep you guessing with what I'll be painting. Shoulder is going to land somewhere over there. here. And I'm trying to figure out a style, or kind of like a, I don't know, a resolve that I want with my paintings. So this is kind of an exploration of sorts. We did the realistic style, somewhat realistic style last time. And I know most of you prefer that, but I gotta stay true to myself and try to paint something kind of more, I don't know, I want to say artsy, I guess, for lack of better words. So I wrote testing, though I don't know, I might not have a functioning chat box. I'm about to delete Safari off of my computer. Hasn't been that long since I streamed, so I shouldn't have made that mistake. Elbow is gonna land somewhere about there. Other hand will be here, so you can see one arm here, the other arm here. Yeah, so if you're writing anything in the comments, I'm really sorry. It's not showing up. So I don't mean to ignore you. It's just not showing up. The hair is gonna land somewhere around here. And the model's wearing yellow dress. This is the return of the yellow dress. Hey, Beanpot. Oh, it's working. Thank goodness. Hey, Susan G 2010. Thanks for watching from Southern California. Yeah, I apologize. If the viewer experience is a little different for you right now. All right, the knees. This is where the clothing is gonna fit, and our model has blonde hair. Oh, good. I'm glad you can see it all, Susan. All right, so the model has blonde hair, so let's sketch that shape. This is how we work with basic shapes. Like I said, this is more of an expressive painting. I could just leave it like this and call it a day, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm trying to find my voice, I guess, with my painting, and bring you all along for the ride. I know my YouTube channel is mainly tutorials, and I know that's what most of you expect from me, but I'm trying to experiment a little bit here. For better or for worse. A little bit of a dark shape. Top of the head. You see how the paint is real fluid here. Backside of the shoulder. It's The temperature's climbing here in Northern Virginia, so my paints actually started drying faster on my palette. Had a little crisis trying to clean the colors off my mixing space today. Luckily I was able to. Bold, very bold, expressive start. I'm gonna try to maintain this energy as long as I can throughout the duration of this painting. Cheekbone area, so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. And you can tell that there's a person here starting to develop out of the basic shapes. Cast shadow here. Let's go into a light brush and a dark brush. I don't know. I'll let this be the dark brush. The other one will be the light brush. So I've got two brushes here. I experimented a little bit last time, or last week. I brought back the realist style. Even did one of those tutorial style videos with the voiceover. But something about this, I don't know, the freeing nature of oil painting, when you can just kind of see the abstract shapes start to develop into something. I find this to be more unique. For me personally, I'd probably prefer this as a student, to be able to watch this type of honesty. It's more of a sense of honesty in painting. And I'm not trying to recreate photograph. I'm not even trying to recreate nature. I'm trying to do something different. Just let the form develop. I kind of think of Alice Neal with these paintings. I think of Alice Neal a lot. There's another hand over here. And change brushes here. It's going to be some of that yellow tone over here. Yeah, I think of Alice Neal with the start. I'm not so sure I'm going to maintain that type of looseness throughout the entire thing, though I'm going to try. It's a little too early for the flowers, for the pink flowers, but they will land somewhere around here eventually, but it's too early for that. Hand. You know, kind of embracing the ugly, the ugliness of an incomplete human. Thumb is gonna fit somewhere over here, but embracing the looseness of shapes. Sometimes I have the energy to do this. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just gonna just paint a little bit more controlled, slow. Other times, somewhere in the middle. Using titanium white for most of this. I will switch to lead white when I get into subtlety. Got a forehead developing there. This is a 1620 canvas, so it's kind of a big canvas. You know, as someone who's done a bunch of different styles of painting, there's always a sense of energy in the start with any style, any approach, whether it's the classic and you're sitting there drawing your first little outlines, or you're doing a careful grisaille, and this is the most, I guess, expressive of them all in terms of the starts, sometimes referred to as the art of the start. A big tip for everyone that wants to try to explore different ideas with their painting. Try to paint over a painting you don't like if you haven't done that before. It forces you to paint this way. The first time I painted this way, I was still a teenager, but I painted over top of an old painting, and because there's so many values, it's so distracting to work with lines in the start. It forces you to work this way. You react to the canvas. You don't think too analytically about it. You don't measure anything. You rely on pure instinct. Now, if you want to paint realism, if you want to capture the likeness, if your ideology in painting is to chase perfection with likeness and all that stuff, then just trace the outlines. Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna spend a lot of time moving shapes back and forth. And I found that myself last week when I was doing the realism. I realized I might as well have just traced the outlines, filled in the light and shadow, and called it a day. But that's not what I want to pass on to everyone. I want to give you a sense of freedom. Hey, Our Hearts with Arts. Oh, thank you. It's a very freeing thing to be able to work this way. It is kind of scary. I've got almost 20 years experience with this, and it still frightens me a little bit to start this way. but it's not so much I'm afraid of what the painting is going to look like. It's like I'm afraid to let go sometimes, because we're capable of so much in our subconscious minds that sometimes we don't use our subconscious enough in life, and everything is just so analytical. Each shape could be a 1/4 inch to the left, a 1/4 inch to the right now, and it wouldn't matter, because everything is kind of interconnected. There's an interconnectedness to the shapes that is very poetic, but it's also very very taxing, I guess, on I don't know how to explain it really. It's like painting requires a sense of energy in your mind that you don't really know, you're not aware of until you do a start where you just react. When you can get to a point where you can start and just react, it doesn't always go well. I totally bombed a painting, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and sometimes it takes me a while to recover from a mistake like that. You kind of activate a different part of your brain. It's a strange sensation. Hey Grace, welcome. Oh, cool. How's it go again? Kind of feeling. Ouch. I don't really like Gauguin. I never liked Gauguin, but not because of his art, but because of his personality. But we can separate the personality from the art. But yeah, there's a certain energy in paintings like this. You can dare to leave it this way. You can dare to hang it this way if you want to. There's a lot of guts, I guess, that goes into expressive painting. Realistic painting is more for the shy person, I think. It's more for the timid, like me. I can be a very shy person. I was a very shy and awkward person in school. But you don't gotta explain a lot to people with a realist painting. And with expressive painting, you almost have to justify your very existence to any viewer out there. It's weird. It's a weird place to be. And I believe in balance. I believe that you should be able to paint. In order to paint your best expressive type painting, you have to know how to paint realism. Don't just do expressive because you don't want to do the realism. I think you should learn the realism. Hey Janice, welcome. I think you should learn the realism. Spend enough time studying Rembrandt, Bouguereau, Sargent, and then let go. Right? I think, was it you, Grace, that said that you like what I do more when I let go? The last time I let go like this, I painted that the horse, the double portrait with the model and the horse. And that was my last last one, I think, with this style. Then I started trying to draw beforehand. I did some acrylic underpaintings, and that's what this is all about. It's all about exploration. It's all about exploration and being honest with yourself. Remember, the hand starts out as a mitten, then it turns into a claw, and then from a claw it turns into a hand. So Janice, I think you're talking about the expressive thing. And let me tell you what gave me this energy today. Let me be as honest as I can be with you. What gave me the energy to do this type of start today, I woke up extra early. I usually wake up around like 8:30ish. But today I woke up at 7. And I had enough time to, I walked Hugo early, and I just couldn't figure out what to do with YouTube or what to film. I didn't know what to do. And so I just went to go practice pool. Now that my feet are recovered, I had problems with my feet for like 3 weeks. I went to go practice pool, and I was able to run two tables. I ran 2 tables of 8-ball in practice by just letting go. I barely even aimed anything. I just let go, and somehow it just made sense to me that's how, I don't know, that's my personality. Just letting go with pool, now that I can walk normally again, is something that really translated directly to what you're seeing here today, right now, with the painting. Oh, thanks, Grace. Yeah, and I'm really thankful for all the support here on YouTube. It's been many years that I've been doing this. I've been through so many different chapters in my life, but there seems to always be something with the, I don't know, like figurative painting, expressive figurative painting, where there's a sense of beauty in the geometry and the, I don't know, you can work on the face 1 second, move to the hand, move just as fast to the still life. I couldn't tell you how to do it. I can tell you light and shadow, until the cows come home, basically. But yeah, there's something about just letting go. Neeks, I do like to paint plein air, yes. Lately I've been messing around with plein air watercolor, now that the weather's nicer. So yeah, I do experiments here and there with plein air. Yes, you're right, Grace. Some people can produce perfect paintings, but they can seem soulless. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that there's some kind of sense of something extra whenever I paint something. And let me tell you, I'm grateful for pool now that I'm able to. Yeah, I've been playing it for 3 years now, so I'm able to kind of internalize things because I've practiced it so many times. Thousands of times I've missed a certain shot. Hundreds of times I've missed it where it counted in competition. And now I'm finally getting to a point where I've seen it all so many times that I can let go, and I can attain a level when I let go that I cannot understand where it comes from. But of course, I think it has something to do with the experience. You also need to be able to know what you're after, right? Yeah, like right now, I could make the face too big relative to the arm. Sure, I could. I could spend the time to fix it. Yeah, I could. But the thing is, how much am I going to push it towards a real human, right? Like how much of that do I want? And I'm going to tell you, I don't know. I really don't know. So I'd say let's figure this out together. The streams are an evolution from my beginnings as a painter, content creator here on YouTube. I'm gonna invite you all into this world, and you could tell me that my drawing is wrong. You could tell me that the color is ugly. You could tell me that you like the painting, you don't like the painting. At the end of the day, you were here. You were part of the experience, and to me, that's something so special about this. Thanks, my crafty mojo. Thank you. Oh, you play pool also? Awesome. Yeah, I ran 2 tables of 8-ball today. Not breaking runs, but just my friend did a break, and then I cleared the table twice. And I don't know, today I just let go. I didn't even use the ghost ball. I didn't even use any systems. When I used side spin, I just kind of did it because I knew where I wanted the cue ball to land. And yeah, that's what gave me this idea. But yeah, I'm glad to have another painter here that plays pool. That's awesome. Hey Angus, welcome. From Mid Wales. Yeah, where men and sheep are nervous. That's funny. Yeah, and this month, at the end of this month, the keelwood shaft that I have a Pat Divany keelwood shaft. It's gonna be 1 year since I've been using that shaft. So I've kind of internalized its deflection and how it changes deflection and throw with different humidity levels. So it's a balance, everybody. It's a balance between, yeah, I know I could end up making the face too long, too big, or whatever, right? I can move it, but how much I move it is there's an art to it that I don't know yet. I don't have the answer. I did widen the face just now a little bit, and I will adjust the arm, right? At that right there needs to move up to that point. So I will fix the drawing here and there. And I got league tonight. 8-ball league. So now that I've recovered from my problem with my foot, it's kind of nice to be back. So here, I'm going to do the best that I can to just react with the paint. Just react with the paint and kind of like in a sport where you've practiced a particular move time and time again, try to just let go. Clavicle. And dare I say, at any point, dare I say, it's finished. It could be. It very well could be. I've done this for so many years. I've done these videos for so many years. I've done so many tutorial style videos. I think now is really the time for me to figure out what it means for me to paint something. Paint something without the need to have to explain it. Hand over there. I don't know, I almost feel like I need a philosopher with me to try to explain things that I don't know how to explain. But I think you can feel it too, right? With the start, this balance, this slippery slope between proportions, color, shapes, but then that little bit of something extra. And today is, now I'm probably going to jinx it, but today is the first day I am not hearing that construction going on upstairs. Mr. Kraft, did you ever go through a cartoonish stage? Oh yeah. I did go through like trying to paint realistic, and then even when I started paintings, so the cartoonish kind of look is not bad necessarily, but it could happen if, for example, features are exaggerated. That's usually where a kind of like a cartoonish look comes from, is exaggeration of features. Another one is the size of the head, and that's why I was aware of it really fast, because I've made that mistake so many times before. If the head ends up being too big, especially if you're painting, doing a figure painting, think Frodo, and don't paint Frodo. So if the head's too big and the feet are too big, basically if it looks like Frodo, then that means it could be leaning towards the cartoonish realm. But there is a way to paint a not super realistic, but not cartoony. And that's if the placement of the features is there, if the color relationships are there, if there's a sense of color harmony going on, things like that. But yeah, I went through a stage where I was doing figure drawings and all the heads were too big, everyone looked like Frodo. The feet were too big. There wasn't much of a sense of anatomy. Well, one thing that'll help with colors is if you, and if we're talking about portraiture in particular, if you do some, I want to say, I always go to Rembrandt, but I guess I'm going to stick with Rembrandt. Just do some Rembrandt Zorn palette studies. So use the Zorn palette and study Rembrandt paintings. I am using the tone of the canvas to help with the skin tones, to help with this kind of expressive style painting. There is a gray tone underneath of this, and you can see these little drips here. I'm going to paint something in the background really quickly. But I'm also using the active paint, right? That layer over there. Oh, cool. I'm glad that you already started doing that. That's good. Yep, I'll see you tomorrow, Grace. No worries. And Celeste, if you're here, let me know. I hope that painting arrived safely. Hey Tipu. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. Yeah, and exactly how much realism do I put in here? See, this is the question. How much realism do I do? I don't know. I really don't. You know, how much do I chase perfection, I guess? If I were trying to do a perfect tutorial face, I would have put the reference there. But that's not what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to do something different. Okay, so the wrist is gonna go there. Drawing wise, I'm comfortable placing the wrist a little bit lower. I know that I can elongate the hand slightly. But like I said, I'm thinking Alice Neal. I'm thinking Alice Neal a lot with this. And yes, her style was more not safe for anyone under 18 to look at her paintings, but I don't know, it has something extra to it, and it's because I've seen them in person. Her more standard portraits, not her crazy stuff that she did. And I don't know, there's just something to it. A certain je ne sais quoi, however you say it. Hey, Lady Death. Alright, so now, before I let too much time go by, I'm gonna sketch in flowers. So first off, I'm gonna do this kind of a little bit, dare I say, predictably. Alright, so I'm gonna go in with sap green, and I'm gonna fill in some light greenish colors, like cadmium green. Working out primo speed painting, yeah. Yeah, definitely. From what I just read there, yeah, the responsibility of being a parent and all that stuff when you're trying to paint, I can imagine. But it could, the speed painting aspect of it could help. Dark shapes of the flowers. So we've got some light green and some dark green. Most of your works works at 3 or 4 hours max. Same here. I mean, I do have a painting that I'm doing that's got like 3 sittings on it now. But the more I look at it, the more realistic it becomes. The more I question it. Like, is this really what I want to say? Like, I don't know. The answer is I don't know. We'll find out. Six or 8 hours over several weeks. So, well. Alright, so pink flowers. We'll start with red. Some of the hair is coming off. The bristle. That's not good. So when I want to paint something pink with this kind of approach, I tend to work with a red first, especially since I'm painting over top of a green. So for those of you that want to do some speed painting kind of things, consider doing this, putting a red first, and then go in with the pinks. Well, Crafty Mojo, if you want to paint faster with oil paint, try experimenting with different tones on your background. I used a dark grayish tone for this one. But underneath of it, as you can see, this is dripping. Underneath of this is a dry acrylic tone, which is what I was taught to use in school. So, but I didn't want to work over top of a dry tone. So, so if I do that, see how this is gray. There's gray underneath of there. So this kind of fluid, see how the brush kind of moves really easily? So I have both an active tone, which is this wet paint, and an inactive tone, which is the dry acrylic. But it's helpful because if the paint shovels, like if it shovels a little bit too much, it doesn't go all the way back to white, the white tone of the canvas. You said you like technical things. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it all should be based upon the technical stuff, like doing a Bard drawing, doing a Rembrandt master study. I think the foundation should always be, I guess, technical in nature. If we're talking about like classical painting, but there's always that something extra. I don't know, something extra that can be done. Okay, so there'll be like a dark reddish here, dark reddish here. Angus, you wrote how to get the correct placement of the main features of the face. Well, if you're talking about for likeness and in terms of realism, there are many measuring systems out there. If you want the exact accurate placement of the features, using some kind of measuring would help. Like, okay, so for example, I'm gonna use it to fix anything that I may need to fix on the face. Okay, so say for example, I want to now make this face a little bit more, say I want the likeness to be a little bit closer now. So what I can do is start off like this, bottom of the face, top of the face, and now you use your fingers, and suppose you're looking at the model or the reference. Okay, so you can use this now for the eyebrow, just for an example. That's the line for the eyebrow, right? Go back down, give yourself the line for the nose. There's another one for the nose. Same with the mouth. There goes the mouth. The eyes. Now you have something very concrete. So suppose now you go from the hairline to the eyebrow right here and project down. Okay, so watch. Eyebrow and forehead project down. What does it give me? It matches right here. Now do the same on your reference, and if something is off, you change it. So for example here, this is too high. This needs to drop. So instead of it being here, it drops to here. And you can measure how much you want to drop it. Right? So now, this is my adjustment here. So now, using this, you move this down. And now, I have moved the nose to a location where it should exist relative to the shape up here. So always think about it like a puzzle. So start with a known and use that known to figure out the unknowns. This is a known. This is set in stone, and I used it to fix this. Now this placement here relative to this is now set in stone as well. So now I can use this, project it down, and see if this to this is the same. You could also do something like this. I'll show you. Place a mark on the tear duct. For the sake of demonstration, I'm going to use red, cadmium red. Okay, so now this is where your tear duct is going to be locked in place right there. So now you have verticals and you have horizontals relative to this. And if you see a lot of barg drawings, templates, barg templates, you'll notice that the tear ducts tend to have a vertical and a horizontal. Now everything around this point is either going to be to the left or to the right. So see this dot? Project this down like that. Okay. I see that this actually has to move to the left. So this is now how you can compare angles. So that has to move to the left, and this pretty much lands right plumb. Plumb means it matches perfectly on a vertical. That's what a plumb means. And now this is in the right place relative to, this is in the right place relative to this. And there you go. So continue to do that with all the other shapes, and you will have the perfect likeness. But this is why I tell everybody, if what you want is perfect likeness, might as well trace it, because all you're doing when you're doing all this careful measuring, all you're doing is recreating the photograph. So I would rather trace it instead of have to do all this careful measuring. I'd rather trace it. You won a scholarship to Pratt Institute. You gave up on the first day. Oh no. But you know, sometimes in life these setbacks happen in order to give way to something that you're really destined to do. Or maybe had you gone to that art school, maybe you wouldn't have met the love of your life or something. Like, you never know. Sometimes life tends to work itself out. I am not the most successful artist in the world, but I'm happy with the experience that I have. I'm happy with the time that I've spent to be able to paint. But in this economy, I'll probably never be able to buy a home of my own. And that could all change if I make it big or something. But I could have done something else and had all this money, but then I wouldn't be happy not painting. But the point I'm trying to get at is you never really know. Sometimes things just work out the way that they're supposed to. So Gigi wrote, never understood why it's a thing to kill the white when starting a painting. Is it a watercolor thing? Well, getting rid of the white of the canvas, I do that almost right away because it makes it difficult to gauge the values when you have the white of the canvas. So the white of the canvas makes it difficult for my eyes to gauge the values properly. some people can use the white of the canvas and it doesn't bother them, but it messes with my perception of value. And there's no right or wrong way to paint. You could do realism, you could do abstract expressionism, you could do impressionism, anything you want. But in the end of the day, it should be something that you enjoy and something that you're able to improve upon in some way or another. Working with values is a very, no pun intended, working with values is a very black and white thing. Like form is a very, very black and white thing. Like it can be right, and it can also be wrong, and it can be very, very definitive. For me, just because of my technical background, doing all the Rembrandt studies and stuff like that, I lean on killing off the white of the canvas quickly to gauge my values, because I want my paintings to have a sense of realism, but not too much, because the more realism I add, the more the expectations rise, at least for me, that the painting has to look a certain way. That's where it's kind of difficult for me. Yeah, oh right, yeah, having friends that encourage you is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. Aside from my art school friends, I've been really fortunate with people encouraging me to paint. I've been really fortunate with that. Alright, so the background now. I'm not going to go too crazy with the background like I have with some of the past paintings. So I'm very simply just going to do this. Just add the dark to the background. Like I said, I wanted to have a sense of classical realism, but at the same time I'm trying to add a flavor of expressionism. How much to use is totally a mystery to me. I don't know. And I'm aware that it has been made really obvious to me that that it's a very personal decision to know, or to how much realism you use is very personal to you. It's not so much can you do it or not, it's how much do you want, I don't know, like how much do you want to describe? Realism is like describing something perfectly in scientific terms. It's like a textbook. But I don't know. I try to think of this kind of like it's like poetry. This is like visual poetry. And you need to be able to communicate effectively. You need to be able to communicate without using things like ChatGPT or whatever. Like, you need to have the education to be able to articulate your words in a coherent way that people will understand you. But at the same time, you have to be able to come up with your own original thoughts. Even if you're in the, I don't know, category of something very sciencey, like if you're in the maths or in physics, you still have to be able to, be creative. There's a lot of creativity involved in academia. But art is so much more complicated than that, because it's this big unknown. We're pulling this out of nothing. Sure, we have references, but if we paint the reference perfectly, there goes another Bouguereau. There goes another Rembrandt. There goes another Nelson Shanks. Nelson Shanks, Bouguereau, Rembrandt, all of these people had their time. They did their thing. They left their mark in art history. I don't want to be someone that is known to just have emulated Rembrandt, emulated Nelson Shanks, emulated anyone. I need to find my own voice, basically. And I think YouTube or video content is part of it. It's been part of what motivates me to paint for a long time. It's how to combine it with video. By the way, anybody that may be new to the streams, I take a break every hour. So we're at 1 hour, 8 minutes. I'm a little bit overdue for a break. I recommend everyone do this. Try to take a break every hour or every 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Just, this is Indian yellow, by the way. It's a very strong tinting yellow. And this is usually the part where I have to, decide, am I going to go full realism and start to render the daylights out of the face, which I might do, or will I continue working the rest of the painting? Will I add something to the background? Yes, I like things being added to the background, but sometimes it hurts me more than it helps to make up a lot of stuff for the background. So this is going to be an exploration of sorts. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take a break now. Then when I return, I'll have a little bit more energy, figure out the direction that this painting is going to go in. And I'll play a video talking about the fundamentals of, well, I'll play the fundamentals one. So those of you that have been here for a while, you probably know which video I'm talking about. Alrighty, I'll play a video for you. Nice to meet you too, my crafty mojo. I'll play a video for you, and I'll be back in about 7 minutes. So don't go anywhere unless you absolutely have to. Of course, I understand. And I'll be right back. Perspective means things that are closer to you are going to be bigger. If this is a box that's close to you, it's going to be bigger. But if the same box is further away, it's going to look smaller. And add to that, if that box is even further away, well, now it's going to look tiny. And in perspective, say they're on a railroad, like this is your little railroad, and you have a train that is driving on this railroad. Suppose the train is just a box. These lines, the railroad lines, let's call them, will converge to what is known as a vanishing point. So not drawn to scale there, but you see these things will converge. So how will this translate to a portrait? Well, it's really simple. If you look at a face, this is the center line of a face. This is the axis for the eyes. This is the axis for the nose. This is the axis for the mouth. These are parallel lines. They're railroads. So every time your head turns, for example, then this is going to turn like that. Things are going to turn. Now, obviously, not drawn to scale. So as the perspective changes, if your head is tipped up, see how small this section is and how big this one is. So your center line would look something like that with your ears all the way back here, and you would see the bottom of your nose over there. So that would be your little cartoon character if your forehead looks further away. And this is something called foreshortening, when things look smaller in perspective. That happens with things like arms, like the forearm would look small in perspective. It's going to be foreshortened here, whereas it won't be foreshortened here. So that's how perspective is going to affect things. Now, the next thing is to think about proportion. And we talked about that in another video, but proportion is a judgment between distances. Say this is A and this is B. Obviously, you know that A is bigger than B, but you know that A is not 3 times bigger than B, A is not 5 times bigger than B, and A is not necessarily half, but it's kind of close to half. B is kind of a little more than half of A. But now if we throw something in a third point, which would be C, now C is potentially 2 times the length of B. It doesn't have to be all that mathematical, but again, when you look at something like a face, for example, there's the forehead, there's the nose, and then there's the mouth somewhere over here, and then this curves in, and then there's the chin, right? The wing of the nose would be here, and then maybe there's an eye over here, and then the eyebrows over here. Now you have relative distances to one another. So this distance from the eye to the nose would be A, the distance from the nose to the mouth would be B, and then maybe the distance from the eyes to the chin would be C, and then you would relate these distances to one another. So that's proportion. The next one is going to be, we're going to talk about value. Value is really simple, basically how light or how dark something is. So for example, if we look at this little value scale, you see the light here, and then the dark. It starts to get dark, and then you have some middle values. How light or how dark something is. What matters the most is your distinction right here between light and shadow. Things that are closer to the light, meaning facing the light more, will be brighter. Things that are further away will be darker. But the most important thing is to have the distinction between light and shadow. Of course, my hair is not cooperating right now, but when it comes to other parts of values, you can actually look at it really simple in terms of bands of value. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different values. You don't even have to look at the numbers based on this, but you could easily say this is 1 and this is 5, and everything in between, well, you already know, 2, 3, and 4. That's value, but value is then attributed to something that we're going to look at, which is the final thing of the 4 basic things we're going to look at, and this is going to be form of a sphere. Pretend that I can draw a circle, which obviously I cannot, but many of you have seen this before, and this is going to be a pretty simple recap for you. So the light travels and hits a plane that is the most perpendicular to the light source. So this is perpendicular. It is at a 90-degree angle relative to this point here. This is going to be your highlight region of this little demo sphere. And anything that is parallel to this light plane, will enter into the shadow. So everything here that is beyond being parallel to the light is going to be in the shadow. This is light, this is shadow. So values that transition away from this point will start to get darker as they approach the shadow. And so this is what's going to make things look round, and you're going to have to visualize almost like a strip of bacon where each plane is. Now suppose there's a cast shadow here under the strip of bacon, and you're going to say maybe the light's coming from the same direction. So this is the brightest area on this little strip of bacon, and then it starts to get darker out here. So that is going to be how light is going to travel around that. Alrighty, I have returned from break time. So I decided, I think what I'm gonna do is I guess I'm gonna push the realism with this a little bit more than what I have. Still maintaining the expressiveness, but I'm going to give myself a little bit of a challenge. I don't know why I'm gonna challenge myself even more than I have, but I'm going to do it anyway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to move from the top down, light brush and dark brush, light brush, dark brush, middle brush as well. So those of you that are still here, let me know if the audio and stuff is working okay. And now I'm going to zoom you in. Alright, I'm going to zoom you in. Let's paint. Gonna fix this angle. This part gets a little meticulous, so bear with me here. Yes, Angus, I do use glazes sometimes. For example, I did a video last time, the last pre-recorded video I did. I did a oil paint glaze over top of an acrylic underpainting. I did the acrylic underpainting just as I would have done it in oil paint in terms of the values and the resolve and all that stuff. With this particular painting, I can't because I started it with oil paint, so it's going to take way too long for this to dry. In order for me to use a glaze. I do like using the glazes sometimes when I want to go more realistic. With this one, I want to paint more expressive. And I said something earlier that oh, I missed something here. Hard Jot, what's going on? Paint a chicken? A chicken jockey. I don't know if I understand that one. Chicken. I did paint a chicken like 4 years ago. I think you were there when I painted that one. Or Minecraft Steve portrait. Minecraft. I haven't done any Minecraft type stuff. I'm glad you're back in the chat, Harjot. It's been a while. Yeah, so the question is how expressive, meaning how non-representational can I go? This is like limbo. How non-realist can I go before I go too far and fall over? It's a fine line, and there's a lot of, like I said, extreme realism is a very good shy person's way of painting. But being a little bit more bold and expressive, yet maintaining form, requires certain guts, I guess. Let me see here. Okay, cool. What did I miss here? Yeah, I wasn't ignoring anyone. I was just taking a break. You said with portraiture, do you prefer working with let's see. Over the course of several sittings. I don't know what N Premiere is. No, I don't know what that is. I don't think I have done that. If I don't even know what it is. But yeah, Hardjot, I wasn't ignoring you. I wasn't ignoring you. I was just taking a break. That was the break time video. So the question of how much expressive painting do I do? One thing I do want to do is continue to maintain form. That's kind of a given for me. Form is important. I still am kind of in the shy realm of things. So I'm not quite brave enough to paint something way out there with the face. It all depends on your personality. Just because I say it's an expressive painting doesn't mean that it can't have certain levels of realism. Life is all about balance. Painting is no different. So Angus, what was the thing that you were talking about? En Premier. What is that exactly? Dark shapes for the cheekbones. So here's another interesting thing to think about. When learning realism, or when learning how to paint, doing cast drawings and things like that, sometimes the very thing that you want to do in an expressive painting, like putting a highlight prematurely or something, is something that you'll find that your teacher may have told you not to do. So sometimes you have to do things you were told not to do in a more expressive painting, and figure out how to make it work with the forms. And everything is about form. Form is something very black and white, analytical. There is a right and a wrong way. But like I was saying before, kind of like literature or something, you don't want to be too literal. And you need to figure out what is literal enough. So it's just slippery slope. And add a little bit of green to that. This is why I have cadmium green on my palette for shapes like these. Yeah, and if you're trying to do like a commission portraits or something like that, definitely just trace it. Hey, Jonas? Definitely just trace it. Still haven't seen Celeste. Hopefully, Celeste will join us. So I'm working in maybe five different plane changes in a particular area, in any given area, I guess. So the question is, how much realism? One thing I do want to stick with is form, and because I'm not able to, work from life like I would always prefer to work from life, but because I don't have that resource, I have to come up with something that I can do that can emulate that experience. This is definitely the closest. When working from photograph, it's easy to get caught up in that kind of perfect photographic look. And there's certain things like the lips being too big, or the eyes. It's basically cosmetics. Like making sure the eyes don't look like she got punched in the face. Hey Frederick, I'm using a copyright-free reference, but because I'm trying to paint something expressive, I'm not showing the reference. Try to maintain a sense of the painting evolving on its own. I am using a reference, but trying to paint some things differently. Alright, so the chin has to shrink a little bit. So you like how the bottom right looks like it's flyaway whistle hair fading off? Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm trying to figure out. With expressive painting, letting myself go and painting just out of pure instinct, it can create effects like what you just mentioned. Subconsciously, it can create things like that. But at the same time, balancing that with form. So right now I'm doing more form painting. I'm gonna have to repaint the hand to fit with that to fit with the face. I guess I can zoom you out now. I put in enough shapes on the face. I can repaint the hand now. I am in the unknown, everybody. I'm in a certain realm of painting that is very much counter to everything in me that wants to, paint it exactly the way I see it and all that stuff. But learning how to let go. Just like I told you this morning, I kind of had that revelation when practicing pool. I ended up doing so much better by just relying on instinct. Sure, there's times to slow down and really aim a particular shot, just like right now in painting. To go back and forth between the two, hopefully I'm not confusing you. I had this kind of revelation this morning because I didn't know what to do. Should I do a realistic face again and, just go all textbook on you? Or push the limits of what I can do? Imagine painting where form and realism and all that stuff is just one aspect of the equation. Imagine if there was so much more out there. And a lot of painters, myself included, we kind of just stick to the textbook. The textbook thing, making it look the way it looks in real life or in the reference. It's like life. In life, you could live it textbook. You could go to school, graduate high school with honors, go to college, major in something safe, like accounting, or not to diss anyone, but I'm just giving you an example. Like, you could major in something safe, or you could Steve Jobs it, do something completely out of nowhere, and that could make you a millionaire. You could go to art school, play it safe, study illustration, and even now getting a job as an illustrator. I'm sure AI is making that much more difficult. But it's not always about the textbook. Though I understand something very important, everybody. We gotta pay the bills. We have to, have dinner on the table. We gotta feed our kids, our fur babies. And for me, the textbook was YouTube. The textbook was the tutorial style videos that I did on here. I did them because I knew that it was safe. I knew that many people would like it. And I stuck with that for years because I played it safe. Realism itself, just doing straight up realism all the time, is playing it safe. Textbook. Living life textbook. And I don't want to live my life textbook all the time. So here I am taking a big risk, painting non-textbook for you. Oh, thanks, Gigi. Yeah, it is pushing me way beyond my comfort zone. Though I ended up getting really comfortable with pastel. I still like pastel. I don't do it as much though, because I want to sell paintings, and pastels are just a little too difficult to preserve. Anything that brushes on a soft pastel is basically gonna ruin it. So the pastels that I did want to keep, I taped to a wall. Watercolor was always a very fun nemesis of mine. This is supposed to be the thumb, by the way. I'm kind of butchering this. Hey, Frederick, yeah, you're right. Even the old masters had varying methods in the past. Yeah, going from realism to impressionism. You know, I feel like all those art movements, they had to happen. Like when I was in art school, I was almost angry at the fact that postmodernism even happened. But it had to happen. Like, I think it was just part of the human experience. Like, we had to go there in order to figure out, you know, what are the boundaries of things that can be said in the visual realm. How far can it be pushed? Yeah, it all helped definitely with making little breakthroughs, and I never really know if I'm making a breakthrough in anything with painting. It's so much more obvious playing pool when there's a breakthrough because you run the table and you win. But painting, that doesn't exist. So I'm not aware of it. That's what makes painting so difficult. And the fact that realism, in all actuality, is just one aspect of the visual experience, it really puts a lot of stuff into perspective. I can't get this hand right. But anyway, you know, it really puts things into perspective. Like, I have been playing it safe for a long time with painting, focusing on my skills, my fundamentals and form. It doesn't show with this creature of a hand, but this is just the tip of the iceberg, basically. I'm not sure really where this is all gonna go. Thanks, Gigi. I hope that the, you know, growing in painting will, you know, will always continue. I'll always try to push the boundaries of what I can do. Yeah, the hand, there's another thing again. I may want the hand to be a claw or a creature. Like, this is the visual realm. It's a different place to be. And I'm not saying it as an excuse. Like, obviously I've messed up, but I know how to paint a hand. I've painted several hands in my life, like several hundred thousands of hands in my life, enough to know that I butchered this one, but I like this pink against the green, the expressive nature of the color. And I know that given time, this hand will eventually look real. But do I even want that? It's a strange place to be in. It's a very strange place to be in. Again, me me personally, like, would I want to buy an art print or something that looks exactly like real life? No, I don't think I would. So, I don't know, really. I don't know where this is heading. All I know is it's heading somewhere. Oh, thanks, Gigi. I don't know. I'm in a funky place, really. It's not a bad place, it's just a very different place in my life now. I've spent so many years studying realism and making things look like things, and I never really did get to like a super high level with that. But I got far enough that, I could paint something that somebody would commission and they'd be happy with, and life goes on. There's always that something else. And I'm not saying like I'm gonna go all Andy Warhol with this, or Alice Neal, like I was saying, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where I just kind of have to exist, and it might show up or it might not. Oh, Angus, I prefer, these days, I prefer a single session. Because I feel like that gives me the most creativity in a single session, like in one day. I like to paint in one day. I do have a painting that I started a couple days ago that's still in acrylic, by the way. It's still in its acrylic underpainting stage. But Angus, the reason that I want to paint in one day, in order to paint more expressive like this, the reason is that I don't have the resources to paint from life. Angus and everybody else, if I had the resources to paint people in real life, I would paint more than one sitting. Yes, I would. I would prefer to have 6 sittings per portrait. So this, if I had someone sitting for me, I would prefer 6 sessions. 4 hours at a time with breaks. Or let's just say even 3 hours with breaks. And because I don't have that, and I have to use copyright-free references, or else I'm doomed to do master studies or self-portraits all the time. I don't want to do that. That's good for like weightlifting, so to speak. But in order for me to create something somewhat unique, I need to be able to depart from the photograph. And on my Instagram, you'll see paintings that were developed over multiple sessions. I've got one painting that I did, it took me 2 years to say it's finally finished. Man, I didn't know that hand would be such a nuisance. No, I know who she is, but no, I haven't looked at that book. Does she talk about the same kind of stuff, like departing from the realism? Most of my teachers really only ever been about realism or humanist realism. I don't know. This is my first time trying something like this. So I don't know. I don't know really. Yeah, and in the past I was just so worried about YouTube. Like I want people to watch my videos, right? Like I want you all to watch my videos and stuff. I want to be here, but at the same time, like I need to create work that I can create prints and things, and it's just my opinion. I think if it's too similar to the photograph, it loses something, and if it's too loose, it also loses something. So it's a tough balance. This is a very tough balance. So you said you spent 20 years as a gilder. You worked on frames for the old masters for several. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Wow, it's an honor to have you here. It's an honor to have everyone here. It's an honor that anyone would ever even care about this type of painting that I'm doing. Because I know I'm departing from stuff that makes sense, like painting a realistic face makes sense. To me, it's just been overdone so many times. In terms of owning a like Edward Hicks, the Peaceable Kingdom is one of my favorite paintings of all time, and it's not all that realistic. Edward Hicks, The Peaceable Kingdom. I can relate to that painting so much, and I have no clue why. Even his self-portrait, and he was not a professional painter during his time, and he was painting during the American Revolution. So Angus, you took up painting for yourself in your late 60s. Oh, you got plenty of time to paint. I always tell people this story of one time I was teaching an in-person class, and I had a 90-year-old that learned more than some of the teenagers in the class. There's just no substitute for pure passion in what you're doing, in whatever you do. If you have the passion for it, it will show. But it's difficult. It's difficult to go through the beginning stages, those early exercises. I actually was quite fond of the early exercises, like the bark drawings and stuff. There was something that made so much sense. It was so safe to do that. Yeah, and it was just last week that I did a realistic face, and it got 2,000 views, whereas my other videos like this don't even get 1,000 views. I doubt this video will ever see 1,000 views. It might be the year 2027, and this video has yet to make it to 1,000 views. That's the kind of not playing it safe thing that I'm talking about. And who knows? I may be wrong. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is about the art and the experience for you all. So, okay. So Angus, you said, but employing the basic techniques, making your own gesso, paint, but not brushes. I have never tried to make my own brushes. Frederick wrote, yes, she talks a lot about the importance of knowledge of anatomy, proportion, composition, unities. So the fundamentals. She quoted Ang, one of her books. Drawing is the probity of art. Oh. No, I've only been to the galleries in DC. Oh no, you were asking Frederick. Okay, cool. Alright, so I'm all caught up, I think, with the comments. Words have power, yeah. But you know, I feel a little bit more mature now about it. Like, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and whine about that kind of stuff anymore. Like, I'm just relating that to not playing it safe. And you know, trying to create something, which by the way, I gotta paint the flowers soon, but anyway, yeah, not playing it safe. But yes, proportions and anatomy, perspectives, structure, all of that is just one aspect of the grand scheme of things. In painting, I always talk about look at the big picture before getting caught up on the details, the minutia or something like that. Well, what if being focused on the realism is ignoring the big picture of art? Now, this is weird. It's weird to think about because for so many years, I mean, like, I could walk into an art museum, and if something is drawn incorrectly, like if I look at a Cezanne, I'm not going to pay too much attention to it because the perspective is off and things like that. Well, I guess now there's something else that I can think about. But there's certain things that I don't think should be, at least for me personally, I wouldn't want to omit. Like, perspective is one of those things that I wouldn't want to omit. Likeness, I could care less. That's not something that that I personally care about because I know that that's purely mechanical. Light and shadow is one of those things I cannot omit. You know, it's one of those, for me, like absolutely necessary things. So, you know, stuff like that. Form, I can let go to a certain extent. Not everything to me has to be perfect. Life itself is not perfect. So the balance between imperfection and perfection is a tough one. And this is usually the part of the stream that I have trouble with myself. As things start to slow down, as the painting starts to, become more boring for most people that want to watch 30-second reels on Facebook, myself included. I like watching cat videos, dog videos. I like the it's called Aussie Man channel on Facebook, where it's like destination failed. Funny videos like that I myself like, but I also like long videos. I like watching Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares these days. I try to watch that while I'm on the treadmill. Things that are a little bit more enlightening, I guess. I didn't realize how, flavorless frozen, like cooking something that was previously frozen for a long time can be. But in TV shows like that, there's never really a dull moment. This stage of painting is nothing but a dull moment. Unfortunately for some, this is like watching water boil. Better to just see it in a time lapse, which you can do by yourself, by the way. You can time lapse this. So many questions. So much to explore. So let me check the time. I think we're due for another break. Yeah, 2 hours, 5 minutes. So we're due for our second break, which we made it to a decent point here. We got some of the chest and all this stuff. So we're going to take a break soon. I'll play the Alla Prima oil painting video. So you can get a glimpse of the technique, why I worked on a wet tone. And when I come back, what I'll probably do, I'm thinking about it now, what I'll probably do is paint something in the background. I'm thinking kind of like an abstract cityscape. I didn't paint a background in it earlier because it just didn't feel right. Now, the flat background does not feel right. The painting is trying to tell me something, and not in some kind of weird trippy way, but I just gotta listen to whatever it is that the painting is telling me. And she's sitting here and contemplating something. She's looking down here. Something's going on. So abstract cityscape, I think, is what I want to paint here. Probably the silhouette of the buildings here. I think that's what I'll do. A wood nymph. Galleries reinforce raw technique. Let's see. So you learn more from YouTube than from books. A wood nymph. Yeah, I don't know. Just those shapes kind of have something in my head. Something or other. And maybe like a overcast with something light. And yeah, it could be a wooden stuff. I mean, I don't know. It could be sitting on a a tree stump. It's possible. Or by a pond. Now this is the part, and I'm referring to the background and the subject and all that stuff, where in an academic sense, a painter would do several studies, preliminary studies, and come up with something that could be more like a John William Waterhouse, like a Bouguereau. But I'm not Bouguereau. I'm not John William Waterhouse. And though galleries may want more refined stuff, I can't paint and think about a gallery. I don't, I have to think about the process, or I don't know, more of the abstract qualities of the painting. Oh, you mean because the flowers are already on her lap? Yeah, I'm thinking about it. The cityscape is still calling out to me, but I think the cityscape right here, something here, cityscape-like, but I want to add more leaves. These could be the leaves. And this is how I feel. I'm not happy where I live. I don't want to live in the city. I am happy that I live across the street from the billiard academy I go to. I'm happy about that. I really enjoy that. So this is not a cry for help, but rather I am in a city, right? Though I prefer to paint nature, so we're going to have elements of nature in here. There's the distant cityscape looking shape. There will be leaves over here, flowers down here, and maybe this will be some kind of wooden thing. But the contrast between the city and nature is something that I want to describe in this. That's what I want to describe. Like I said, it's not a cry for help or anything like that. Like, there's pros and cons to everything. But the contrast between the cityscape and then the nature, her holding the flowers, something about that I think is what I want to portray with this one. But okay, we're going to take another break. And I'll play that oil painting video for you. Yeah, exactly. On a balcony. Something like that. Alright, I'm going to take a break. Hopefully you'll enjoy the video that I'll play during the break, and we'll be right back. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another break time quick 5 to 7 minute oil painting. This is just a gessoed piece of wood. It was gessoed with acrylic gesso, and now I have added a thin coat of raw umber and black using a mixture of safflower oil and spike lavender. Now we are going to use the alla prima technique to paint a 5 to 7 minute eye. We're going to start off with white. This is going to create a sphere for us. And this is going to be the eye socket area right here. And down here is going to be the corner of the eye. This is the edge of the eye socket, and now we have the entire shape for the eye socket. The tear duct will be about here. Next thing we will do is go and get the dark brush. This is going to be just black and raw umber right here. So this is going to be our tear duct. Black and raw umber. This is going to be the end of the eye, and this is going to be the iris. Very simple iris shape there. And now we're going to put in the bottom plane of the upper eyelid, lower eyelid, and the top of the lower eyelid. Very simple, iconic looking eyeball shape. Next, we are gonna go in with the light back towards the top of the eye, and this will give us the eyebrow right above. Nice and easy. So there's a quick little eyebrow. The tear duct is going to pick up some light, and this creates the tear bag area. And you want to work with a decent amount of paint so that you can apply different value changes, as you're seeing there, just by modifying how much pressure you put on the brush. So this is the tear duct here. See how it gets lighter? Less pressure will make this less light. And now we're going to have a little bit of light picking up on the top plane of the upper eyelid as it starts to curve around the back side of the eye there. We'll also pick up a little bit of light on the upper eyelid, and we'll also pick up a little bit of light on the top of the eye socket, which is going to create a nice gradation here. And these are just cheap pieces of wood that were gessoed with Liquitex acrylic gesso. They're cheap pieces of wood that are perfect for doing oil painting sketches such as this one. And less pressure is going to make this less bright as we work all the way towards the back side of the eye, finishing the first pass for this eye. Next thing we are going to do is add more light to the top, giving us close to our brightest light. And you can paint this in 5 to 7 minutes at home for practice. Simple practice. Now a little bit of light for the sclera. Remember, the sclera, the white of the eye, is not white, but rather some type of middle value. Now this painting is of course going to be in monochrome, meaning we're not going to add any values. But if you want to add, color, it's going to be in monochrome, which means we're not adding any color. But if you want to add color, you certainly can. But you see how much you can do without any need of color. And see how you can create this little gradation here with just white, black, and umber. And now we're going to add our darkest dark, which is going to be raw umber with a little bit of black for the pupil right there. And depending on the model, there may be some darker eyelashes, so we can add those eyelashes. The dark for the eyelashes here. And it all depends on the model. And we can adjust the eyebrows with the same brush, wet into wet. Depending on if the model has thick eyebrows, soft eyebrows, it's up to you. You can create whatever eyebrows you want. And what I want you to do is, if you can help me out and do this 5 to 7 minute study on Instagram, post it with a hashtag yuparitheartist. And this is the final light. Like I said, that's going to be the brightest light. And that is your 5 to 7 minute simple alla prima wet on wet eye. I hope you enjoyed this break time painting video. Alrighty, I have returned. The painting is 16 by 20 inches. Yep, Bugaro did do a lot of studies before final paintings. But of course his style was more towards the super realistic realm, whereas I'm trying to depart from that a little bit with this painting. And thank you, Jonas. Alright, let me show you for a second what the palette looks like. When painting this particular way, there's a lot of stuff going on, but look at how active the mixing is on the palette. It's very, very active space. This is why I say I recommend having a big palette, because I'm out of space, so I'm going to have to mix right on top of something I wouldn't necessarily want to, but let's go ahead and see where this goes. This is a process of endless exploration. So let's see. Cityscape. Like I said, in an ideal world, I would like to live somewhere where I would be close to, closer to nature, closer to, where people paint in groups, split the model fee, stuff like that. And I don't really have that here, and that's okay. It's okay. It's going to be fine. Of course, it's not going to be the most realistic looking cityscape, but it's a silhouette, right? It's not meant to be something so literal like a bouguereau. Bouguereau is more literal. Now, of course, this will be kind of like a mountainscape sort of thing. You know, Bouguereau is more literal. You know, he did studies upon studies before doing a final painting. We're exploring a different world. This is a different realm. We're literally painting a different world. This is one where I don't have the answers. And I have to be okay with that. Like, I don't know what this building is. All I know is it's a shape. And in perspective, all I want is for this to not be leaning. And if it leans, that's one of those places where I draw the line. I'm not going to let it lean. We're not going to lean with it, rock with it with this. We're going to paint it so that it looks like something is at least following perspective. Some of you are really going to hate this. Some of you are really going to like it. I don't know. Can't cater to everyone. All you can do is explore what is possible. Your art and philosophy neither will make us rich. That's true. Oh, thank you, Angus. Thanks, Angus. So I'll be here around this time most of the weekdays. Most weekdays I'll be here at this time. You're always welcome. This is just white, so titanium white and phthalo turquoise. Not phthalo turquoise. I keep saying that. It's just phthalo blue. And of course a straight edge would be better. But again, this is a world where not everything is as it looks in this world. Like I said, this is one of those moments where this is not for the faint of heart. I look out a window all the time and see these bluish looking buildings, or not bluish, brownish looking buildings from a distance. Alright, now we'll switch brushes. And I am going to use the, I thought I had a different white here. I was going to use, I still have some alkyd paint, just so I don't use up all my titanium white, but oh well. And clouds, of course. Mr. A la Bob Ross type clouds. Turbulence in the sky. The turbulence represents the fact that I don't like a noisy environment in this apartment. But then again, can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you get what you need. And that's what I have. I have what I need, so I need not complain. This is usually what the last hour is all about with paintings like this. I mean, this type of perspective or composition. Just kind of change some things around. Turbulence in the sky. And then we'll use that same color to throw in the pink for the flowers. That's why I had the red underneath. And we'll add a different flower over here. Start with the gray. Just add some variety. Okay, now for this, it's gonna be a little bit darker than the sky, but lighter than it was before. Maybe we'll leave some of this dark, just to kind of hint at a cast shadow. Almost looks like a tombstone behind her. Let this be a warm gray as opposed to the cool gray back there. And then we'll put the leaves or whatever. Right, so perspective. Okay. Should have a T-square, but oh well. Just to make sure those things line up. throw some blue in the shadow. And then we will bring back our little T-square thing, makeshift T-square. Make sure that matches up. Okay. Okay, a little bit more blue. My guess is, as Gigi says, it'll probably be a background from a balcony, something like that. Now obviously I painted into the figure so that I can get an edge like that, but we could also throw in something that might be there in real life. Daylight. On the shoulder. some cerulean blue. Okie dokie, now let's throw in some leaves. Background, I use sap green, which does next to nothing because it's so transparent. Phthalo turquoise, not phthalo. Why do I keep saying phthalo? I haven't had that color in my palette in a long time. I'm using phthalo blue, cadmium yellow. In honor of Bob Ross, we'll throw in a big old tree or a shape of some sort. It's not a tree, obviously, but something like this. Could be maybe corn on the cob, or who knows what this is. I don't know. Some kind of outdoorsy stuff on this balcony. And maybe just on that side to go with this main diagonal for the composition. Who knows what it is? It just is what it is. It is something in a different world, some type of plant representing nature, but a different kind, different type of nature. Now, before I forget, I'm gonna get rid of these lines that you probably don't see, but I do, from when I put that T-square thing there. Strange world. But this is what we're painting. I'm going to add some more color for the hair. Reminds you of a beanstalk going up to the clouds. Oh, cool. I like that idea. We're going to call it a beanstalk. Speaking of beanstalk and naming paintings, I totally forgot to post today. I was going to post the one from, I guess, 2 weeks ago that I struggled with. But it's only fair to post even the ones that I struggled with. Yeah, I think I would agree that this, without that super careful drawing, like just kind of going for it, I think just kind of resonates with me a little more. So it's a beanstalk. Soft edges up here because there's the turmoil is up there. I think this is my favorite in the series of these paintings. And this is the one where I tried to go more expressive. So I didn't put too much emphasis on the realism with this one. Different world. Indian yellow is such a nice color. Lemon yellow. Oh, so far, so good. Very different world here. Overall, I think happy with it. I am happy with it. Maybe I don't like the part of the hair. So these little finesse things. Maybe this can get lower. I don't know, to about there. So, lesson learned. Sometimes it's best to just let go. Or maybe all the time. Or maybe I should consider practicing pool in the mornings more frequently so I have this much energy to paint. Something or other, I don't know, something about the more active morning that I had today gave me more energy to paint. And I think it portrayed itself, the energy that I had. The energy came out in the brush strokes, in the drawing, or lack thereof. Something worked with this. And I'm really thankful for all of you that joined today and left a comment and stuff. This one was fun. And I let myself go with this. I let myself go with this one. I really did. Oh, what the heck? What the heck? What? You know, sometimes I come up with the craziest ideas. We're gonna throw in, since there's still life here, we're gonna throw in a 9-ball. What the heck? It would go with the yellow. The 9-ball is going to be resting on her knee. Kind of goes along with the main diagonal anyway. Here's your bravery test. Painting in a 9-ball. I'll always remember that I practiced pool the morning before I painted this, and it gave me the energy I needed for this. One way or another. And hey, I know this is not too many people's cup of tea, but maybe one day this painting will sell. Maybe someone will buy a print of it and somehow connect with this painting. Maybe it's someone that plays pool, somebody that lives in the city, or just someone that likes the imagery. I don't know. Yeah, the cadmium free yellow is not so good. Cadmium free yellow deep. I much prefer the actual cadmium yellow. I find myself having to use a lot of Indian yellow. But what am I gonna do? I already own this tube of paint. I gotta use it. Use it up. So we're painting a 9 ball in here. Without the number, you can tell it's the 9 ball because the color, it's the yellow stripe. It's almost to scale, actually. Highlight. I won't even put the number. It's the back side of the 9 ball. Or maybe. Nah. We'll put a sliver of the face of the 9 over here. I'll always remember that when I painted this one, I got the energy from playing pool that morning. Life is about balance. Just as she's balancing the 9 ball. Now obviously I'm not going to let that dry that sharp. Appreciate all of you watching this live, giving me a chance to paint differently than what you've seen me do in the past. I know this is not your typical portrait painting tutorial. This one is quite involved. There's a lot of stuff in it, a lot of elements. And now apparently there's a 9 ball in there. And it's to represent the balance. Represent balance in life. And this is growth, right? The beanstalk. Representing growth. This may be perhaps the most unique painting I've ever done. And we've done it live on YouTube. Left myself a perfect place to sign right there. But I think we've done it. I think we have done it. Obviously, there's some things that could have more explaining. Like, of course, she's covering herself with a towel or whatever the heck this is. Or it could be a dress. Details in that don't matter. So, hopefully you've all enjoyed this. I certainly had a good time painting this. Very different from what you've seen me do in the past. Still part of that series of paintings that I was doing with the the other stuff in the background and things. So continuation of that series, but this time a lot more imagination, but controlled. Maybe we'll throw in a few leaves in there, like 1 or 2. And this painting will be available if anybody wants to buy it, or if you want a print, I can have an art print sent out to you as soon as tomorrow. I've got a printer for it here. So if you want an art print of this, it is available. $25 a print with the signature on the back side if you want. If you don't want my signature, that's okay too. Oh yeah, my email is in the description box. That's where my email is. Just feel free to send me an email if you want a print of this or any of the other paintings in this series. You can Venmo me, or you can Zelle, or you can send me a check if you want to, or send me cash. I'll send you my address. These days, I think everyone prefers Venmo, which is totally fine. Print of this one is available. Print of all of them, any of them that you want in this series. Soon I'll create a slideshow of all the paintings. Then you can pick which one you would want an art print of. Alrighty, let's go ahead and sign the painting. I'm going to sign with a size 4 sable, cat's tongue shaped pure red sable. This is a 16 by 20 inch oil painting, all original. Yes, a copyright free reference was used, but this is far from looking like the reference. Alrighty, let's drop a signature right here. I'm so glad that construction is stopped. Hopefully it's finished. Whatever was going on upstairs. That was wild. That was like a good 3 weeks, man. Even the signature fits in with the composition. Oh, right, yeah, before I go, I'll check my email. I'll check my email before I go, just in case anyone sent an email. Hey, got paint on my pinky. But I didn't use any lead white today. And my cadmium is cadmium free, so I guess I'm safe. Let me go ahead and check my email before we go. Oh, okay, Janice, you sent me an email for the painting. I'll let you know. Just a heads up, the painting will probably need a good, I want to say 2 weeks to dry. Let me check the bottom. If you are interested in the painting, I definitely will make sure that the bottom is not missing any. Sometimes I miss the bottom part of the painting. So I'll respond to your email today, Janice. But just a heads up, the painting will probably need 2 weeks before I can send it through. I use USPS. I just shipped the painting out on Friday. Hopefully it arrived safely. It was supposed to arrive today. So I build custom boxes for these paintings. And I have already sent out 16 by 20. I've sent this size canvas before, so I know how to construct the box and everything. Alright, so the bottom is covered. So this is ready to dry, and it can find a new home and be sent out in the next 2 weeks. But yes, Janice, I'll email you, let you know. Let me just do any little last minute things. Last minute, I don't like how this meets up with the elbow. So I'm going to soften that. And then I'm going to repaint that leaf with a little more definition. Any little things like that. Now, because this is more expressive, it doesn't have to have any particular pattern, but I like this meeting up with, see this meeting up with this right here. I like when there's a synchronicity or whatever between shapes, like that, and then a yellow light green color here to go along with this. Yeah, that to me makes more sense, or else it sticks out too much. And then maybe another one right here, just because it's a matter of feel. If anything, it almost looks like a tattoo. It could be a tattoo. But we know it's the leaf. Okie dokie. I like now how that fits. It crops with it matches perfectly with the elbow. Somehow this entire section now makes more sense. But alrighty, hopefully you've all enjoyed this painting. And yes, Janice, I will email you about the painting. I've made sure that the bottom is covered. I'll photograph it after this and post the picture on Instagram so you can see the picture of it, so everyone can see the picture of it. Once again, remember everybody, the schedule is 1:30 or 1:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Monday through Friday. I can't do every single day, of course, because life happens and stuff, but you will most likely find me here around that time, 1:30 or 1:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Monday through Friday. Links to the materials that I'm using are in the description box of the video. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I wish you the very best, and I'll see you on the next one.